Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the House of Representatives approves the proposed 5.768 trillion peso budget for 2024, but the final details of the realignment of confidential funds have yet to be released. China tells the Philippines not to make provocations in the West Philippine Sea. How should the government respond? Surigao del Sur Representative Johnny Pimentel joins us in the program. And later, think you're stressed? No one even compares to the stress levels of the latest phase of a now viral milk tea ad. Seasoned broadcast journalist Cesar Lon joins us live later in the program. The House of Representatives has approved the 5.768 trillion peso spending plan of the Marcos administration for 2024. Lawmakers have until Friday to submit their proposed amendments to a 4-member committee. Hours before the budget approval, Appropriations Panel Chairman Elizalde Co confirmed the confidential funds requested by the Office of the Vice President and the Education Department, led by Sara Duterte, will be reallocated to security and intelligence agencies protecting the West Philippine Sea. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Surigao del Sur, 2nd District Representative Johnny Pimentel. Congressman Pimentel, welcome to the source. It's good to see you again, sir.
Yes, good morning, Pinky. Good morning to your viewers.
You know, first I wanted to ask you, because it was yesterday when I saw that joint statement from the House, from various party leaders, basically saying that we want to realign, you want to realign some of the funds and put them in agencies that are related to securing the West Philippine Sea. Just tell us the story behind this. How did this come up?
Well, before we discuss that, let me give you an overview why we have a party leader system. Before the opening of Congress, before the leadership was being formed, the committee chairmanship and other positions, Speaker Martin Romualdez designated party leaders from each political party so that he could consult. So there was no need anymore to consult the 300 members. If there was a crucial issue that needs to be discussed, and it was the duty of the party leaders to disseminate and cascade it to their members of their political party, so that the speaker can get a feedback
Consensus
of the feel or the sense of the political party members on any issue.
Okay.
Now, on Tuesday, on that note, the party leaders had a meeting, in fact, for 2 hours, and we discussed several issues, including the budget, including the priority bills of the president. And one of the topic or matters that were discussed is with regards to the confidential intelligence funds, because we all know that in the recent weeks, it has become an issue, it has become a controversial issue. Now, add to that, the escalating situation in the West Philippine Sea, wherein the Chinese Coast Guard installed barriers along our territorial waters, which was dismantled by the Philippine Coast Guard. So we had a look at the allocations of the different agencies with regards to the confidential funds. Actually, in the 2024 budget, there are 28 government agencies that has allocation of confidential intelligence funds. Now, because of the situation in the West Philippine Sea, we deemed it prudent that probably we should reallocate the confidential funds to those agencies that need it most, and will get the funds from those agencies that need it least. So because, like for example, yung Philippine Coast Guard has been asking for support with regards to their efforts in protecting our territorial waters, our sovereignty. However, if you will compare the allocation of the Philippine Coast Guard to other agencies, It's just a drop on the bucket.
Right.
They have an allocation of 10 million pesos, whereas in other agencies, there are hundreds of millions of
Right,
pesos. Mas kailangan ng
Opo.
Philippine
Which is
Coast
something,
Guard
Congressman,
and other
that the
agencies.
Philippine Coast Guard has actually been bringing up to the attention of the public, that yung kanilang budget dito has been 10 million. All right, so there are two reasons for this. To summarize what you said, one is the controversial intelligence funds, and number two is the continued aggression in the West Philippine Sea. Now, here's the thing, sir. The House passed the 5.768 trillion peso budget for 2024. So it was said that the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Congressman Ko, in a statement, he said that the 650 million CIF from the Office of the Vice President and that of the DepEd will be reallocated to these security agencies, namely NICA, National Security Council, the Philippine Coast Guard, and BFAR. Now, has it been moved, sir, the 650 million peso CONFI and Intel funds from the OVP and DepEd?
At the moment, not yet. No, because of time constraints, the budget was passed last night with the confidential funds allocated in each agency is still intact.
Okay.
However, there will be a small committee of 4 that will tackle the proposed amendments. It could be done there, or it could be done during the bicameral conference.
I see.
Now, we are a bicameral legislature, so meaning all the bills that we pass on third reading in Congress will have to be approved by the Senate in the upper chamber. Now, then after that, then we will have a bicameral conference meeting so that we could reconcile the versions of Congress and the versions of the Senate. If you recall, Senate President Mig Subiri also issued a statement that they will follow suit or follow in the direction of the proposal of the lower house to reallocate the contingency, or rather the confidential intelligence funds. So this will be up for discussion during the bicameral conference meeting, or probably during the deliberations in the Senate.
Got it. Sir,
but definitely, Pinky, it will be reallocated.
Definitely coming from the House. That's basically what you're saying. That's basically what the Appropriations Chair was also saying. But it needs to be clarified right now that the 650 million at the moment still remains with the Office of the Vice President and the DepEd. Hindi pa po siya nalilipat. Now, I want to move on to what you said about the Senate leadership. Senate President Mig Zubiri, I do know that he is in agreement with this joint statement of the House. But from what I know, sir, and I have not read, I may not have read it, but I did not hear any statement from him saying that the CIF of the OVP and the DepEd will be realigned to these security agencies. Was there a mention of that I might have probably missed, sir?
He was not specific, but it was more general nature, but you can already get the signal from his statement. What he said is that he will follow suit, or more or less follow in the direction of the proposal of the party leader's statement or the Congress. So that means that he is supporting our proposal. It is not really in detail, but it is very clear if you read this statement na susuportahan niya yung proposal na gagawin namin na i-reallocate yung confidential intelligence funds.
Right. That I understood, and I think we're in agreement there. But of course, the question will be, saan ho ba kukuning mga ahensya yung na CIF para ilipat po sa mga ahensya that are responsible for securing the West Philippine Sea? It's only made known yesterday during the House, coming from the Appropriations Chair, that kukunin po nila yung 650 million from the OVP and the DepEd, but wala pa nga po sa Senado. That just needs to be cleared up. Another thing, sir, aside from that, saan po hong mga ahensya ang nakikita niyong pwedeng itap para po i-realign dito sa NICA, sa National Security Council, sa BFAR, and the PCG? Because you're right, I want to go back to what you said earlier. it was Congresswoman Garin who said that, in the past, in 2022, was it? There were only 16 government agencies who were asking for Intel funds. I might have been mistaken. I think this is 2012, sir. But in 2024, basta in the past, 16 lang daw po. Tapos ngayon, 28 na po yung humihingi ng mga Intel funds from...
Yes, that is correct. That is correct, Pinky. In the budget of 2024, there are allocations for 28 government agencies. No, one of which is the Department of Agriculture, which is asking for 50 million pesos, which I believe is justified and reasonable, considering that we already had cases with regards to the smuggling of onions and the hoarding of rice. No, so I believe that we should allocate that amount to them for them to make a surveillance on the hoarders, on the smugglers. Kasi let's make it clear first, no? Confidential funds are allocated to civilian government agencies who conduct surveillance activities to support the operations of their agency. Now, intelligence funds are used by military in uniformed personnel to gather intelligence for the purpose of protecting the national security. Kaya magkaiba yan, but somehow it has become intertwined. No?
Pinagsama na nga po CIF.
Yun nga, kagaya ng sa Department of Agriculture, kakailangan nila yun. Kasi, let's say, one hoarder is hoarding rice in one big bodega, then they will have to spend for the surveillance activities. What about the smugglers? Kailangan nila maglagay ng mga tao doon sa port or whatever to track down these smugglers. So I believe that is justified. So, you are correct, there are 28 government agencies asking for intelligence funds. But remember, Pinky, that the confidential intelligence fund is not new to our government. It has been there since time immemorial, since 50 years ago. You can even look at the budget 40, 50 years ago. There were already intelligence funds in some government agencies. But it is only now that it has come to light and that has become an issue, and we are answering that call by reallocating the intelligence confidential funds to agencies that needs it most, that really sumusunod sa mandato nila.
I don't think really it's a question of kung hindi naman talaga bago ang confidential and intelligence funds. I think the issue really here is that even Congresswoman Garin was saying, marami na raw, to quote her, nakikiuso. Kaya nga, sir, from 16, naging 28 na po yung mga departments na humihingi ng confidential and intelligence funds. I still have a lot of questions, sir, but we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today is Surigao del Sur 2nd District Representative Johnny Pimentel. Sir, my follow-up is this. No? So the House was looking at 650 million coming from the OVP and DepEd. Two things, sir. How much do you think should be allotted to be realigned aside from this 650? Magkano ho in total ang nakikita niyong maaaring ilipat? Number two, alin pa pong mga departments or agencies can you tap these funds and realign them?
Well, the statement that we issued concerns only 4 agencies, but it does not limit that we put it in other, we can add more agencies, no? Like, for example, we can put it, well, we already mentioned Philippine Coast Guard, we can put it PNP, we can allocate also some to PDEA, especially that we have a really big problem with regards to drugs. Then we can allocate also some of it, a portion to ISAP, to NICA, to NSC, BFAR, and other agencies that are mandated to gather intelligence data to protect our national security. And of course, to agencies that are mandated to protect our sovereignty, that are protecting our territorial waters, those that are could be agencies that are trying to solve criminality. So actually, we have not yet discussed on the amount and the agencies because this will have to be thoroughly
see.
studied. Saan ang nangangailangan,
Opo.
doon ang dapat lagyan. Saan yung hindi naman kailangan, yun ang
Dapat
kakunin
tanggalin.
o yun ang tatanggalan.
Okay.
Oh. So that is, it's more or less how to prioritize. No, it is rebalancing the budget to suit the needs of the agencies that is mandated for these concerns.
So, I wanted to follow up on what you said a while ago that confidential and intelligence funds are not new. However, the problem is dumami po yung mga humingi ng confidential and intelligence funds. Again, sabi nga ni Congresswoman Garin, marami daw po nakikiuso. Isn't it Congress's fault, a responsibility to begin with? Kaya po, padami ng padami yung mga humihingi ng confidential and intelligence funds, sir, because it does emanate from the House of Representatives, the approval of this budget, rather.
That is precisely, we had a meeting and we're taking action because of these issues. And actually, we could say that complaints coming from different sectors, why this agency has this confidential intelligence funds. And Congress right now is trying to answer this clamor or these complaints. And Speaker Martin Romualdez has always emphasized that the House of Representatives is not a house for the congressmen, it is not a house for politicians, but it is a house for the people. So whatever we will decide, it should be for the benefit and welfare of the Filipino people. So in this case, we are already answering the call, and that is why there is really a need to reallocate this confidential intelligence fund to those most needed.
Right.
Kaya nga, sumasagot po tayo dun sa mga ikangang gusto ng Pilipino by reallocating this fund.
One last question, Congressman, wanted to get your position or stand on this. Yung pong pag-transfer ng pera ng DBM to the Office of the Vice President, this is in 2022, approved by the Office of the President, coming from the contingent fund at nilagay po sa confidential fund. I know this will be an exhaustive, kailangan ho talaga pag-usapan nito, pero para po sa inyo, sa madaling salita, pwede ho ba ito o hindi? Is this legal or not?
You know, Karen, that would be very hard
Thank
for
you,
me
sir.
to answer because that is a legal question. I am not a lawyer. You know, when it comes to legality, there are so many interpretations. And that is why in any hearing, even a law can be interpreted 100 times by 100 lawyers. So,
You don't want, you can't
I'm not a
answer
lawyer.
that.
I can make a mistake. So it is
Okay.
a legal issue.
All right.
I think it should be asked from a legal point of view. And I'm not well versed in
Okay.
any
Fair enough.
legality because I'm not a lawyer.
Surigao del Sur Congressman Johnny Pimentel. Sir, thank you so much for your time and I hope to speak to you again. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Pinky. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And coming up, what does the future hold for journalism with the rise of artificial intelligence in local and global newsrooms? And of course, the viral ad. Veteran journalist Esther Lan tells us her thoughts about that and more after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.